So let's use our conditional probability notation here. I'm not going to use the formula because I don't want to talk about the and part of it. So we're just going to use logic. So what is the probability that a card drawn is an odd number given that it is black? So we already know that if given that it's black means that it's half of our cards. So normally that would be 52, half of that is 26. So the given that restricts that denominator, it restricts our sample space. Now, what is the probability that it is odd given that it is black? Odd numbers would be 3, 5, 7, and 9. So 2, 4, 6, 8 of these 26 cards are odd, and then of course we would reduce that. So dividing top and bottom by 2, I get 4 out of 13. So I'm not using my formula, but I am using a little bit of logic there. Let's look at one where we are going to need to use a Venn diagram. And this is one of those things where it's simple and it makes sense, but you have to make sure that you pay attention to the details. So you don't have to write all the words, write the important points in your notebook. Of the 30 students in Ms. Smith's math class, 13 are athletes and 9 are in the band. 3 of the athletes are also in the band. If one student is chosen at random, find the probability that this student is in the band if it is known that they are not an athlete. So we're looking for band given that it's not an athlete. Now, there's a lot of ways to go about doing this, but I do think that a Venn diagram is probably the easiest way. Here's athlete, here's band, and this is the key right here, guys. This both, so where it says 3 of the athletes are also in the band, that's where they overlap. And then there are 13 athletes, that's a total of 13. So this entire circle here needs to add to 13. So the 3 that are also in the band plus the 13 that are not. And then we need to do how many band members? 9 are in the band. So that means 6 go here. So again, we are totaling this entire circle up to 9. And then there were 30 students, right? So we would have, not that we need this piece, but that's 10, 19. So we would have 21 that are neither, 21 on the outside. But what is the probability that they are in the band, given that they are not an athlete? Oh, we do need that 21. In the band, given that they are not an athlete. So we don't want to include these 10. No, we don't want to include these 3. We only want to include those. We only want to include those 6 here and those 21 here because we don't want to include anybody that's an athlete. So not an athlete, that's 27 of the students. 6 of those are in the band. So 6 out of 27. Again, we can reduce by dividing top and bottom by 3. So that would be 2 out of 9. And again, a Venn diagram was helpful there because of the fact that they were saying numbers and they're this group, or in both. That both is what told me to go to a Venn diagram for this one. Okay, we are going to do one last set of examples. And in this one, we're going to use some tables. We're going to use what's called a two-way frequency table in order to answer some questions. So we have this table of 150 randomly selected. So that's my total here. 150 randomly selected middle school students who were asked if they take French or Spanish. So if I'm looking for probability, if I'm just looking for straight up probability like I am here, 7th grader who takes French, I am just going to take seventh grader who takes French, those 25 out of the total 150. And again, reducing, 25 goes into 25 once, 25 goes into 156 times. Now, notice part B, the notation. Probability that they are an eighth grader, given that they take Spanish. So given that they take Spanish. Ready? If I'm doing given that they take Spanish, I am only looking at these guys here. So I am completely and totally ignoring these guys here. I'm ignoring them. Given that they take Spanish, I'm only looking in the Spanish. So I am going to, whoops, hit the wrong button. I'm going to add 23, 12, and 33. That gives me a total of 68. 36, yeah, making sure I added them up right. So an eighth grader, given that they take Spanish, that's going to be 33 out of 68. And I don't think they have anything in common. So it does not reduce. Okay. Now, the next question, the probability that they take French, given that they are a sixth grader. So again, the given that, I am only looking at this row. So all of these guys here, I'm ignoring them. So I'm going to add my 19 and 23. And 19 out of my 42 is what I'm going to look at there. So again, when it says given that it's a sixth grader, I'm only looking at the sixth graders. I'm only looking at the sixth graders. Now, seventh grader, given that they take French, I am going to just look at this column here. I am completely ignoring these guys. So I'm going to add up my 19 plus 25 plus 38. And this is just going to be out of 82. How many of those are seventh graders? That would be 25 out of 82. So that restricts, when you've got that given that, it restricts your sample space. It makes your denominator smaller. I'm not looking at my total 150. I'm just looking at whatever row or column corresponds.